Well, hello everybody. In this tutorial, we are going to now do some automation with our Raspberry Pi. Last video, we actually downloaded our credentials from AWS IoT Core. We now want to do some remote controlling with AWS with the Raspberry Pi. So I have downloaded all my credentials over on this folder. Okay, so these are all the credentials that were downloaded from AWS IoT Core. The next step will be to validate, essentially validate the remote control functionality. I am going to change this, change all these credentials to a much better wording instead of all this word over here. So let's change this to certificate, get rid of all that stuff. Okay, change this to just certificate. Let's change this over here. I think this is the, what is this? Yeah, this is the private key. So let's get rid of all that links. All the stuff right there. Let's just keep this name as private. Okay, and this must be the public key as well. Yeah, public key. So let's get rid of all this stuff. Keep it as public. So, and let's choose this one over here as the root. The root file. Okay, so these are all our credentials within that we have extracted from AWS. Now, to validate the controlling with Raspberry Pi, I'm going to use an app within this platform. So let's go over to Control IoT Device. And this is just to validate that credentials that we have could do the remote controlling of our device. So the first step will be to add credentials. So let's go over here. Let's add the device certificate. So let's choose that. I believe that was this one over here. Let's choose submit that. Let's choose the private key. That's this one over here. Submit that. Let's choose the public key. This. Submit that. Let's choose the root file. Let's that. Submit that. And remember, we also had to. This client ID is just a random name, but I'm just gonna keep it as let's keep it as IoT/1. Submit that. And this endpoint is the endpoint that you get from AWS IoT Core, which I showed you within the last video. So I think, let me see if I have that. Yeah, so this is the endpoint. I'm just going to copy that, go back to my platform and paste that over there, submit that, and let's test for the connection. Okay, perfect. So let's go over here and test that. Perfect. So we are now connected remotely. So now that the connection is validated, we need to send commands to our Raspberry Pi. Over here, I am going to make a random command. Let's just type in the hello command over here. Submit that. You are going to see why this is important shortly. Now that we have validated the remote control of the AWS IoT Core with the Raspberry Pi, next step will now be to prepare the Raspberry Pi for remote control. I do have a script over here. I could show you the script. Okay, So this is the script that we are going to use to do the controlling of our Pi. So this script will be inserted within the Raspberry Pi, and this is the command we just created. Plus, this is also the random name that we subscribe to within the platform. So now I'm going to now go into my Raspberry Pi. So this is my Raspberry Pi over here, and I am now going to create a folder. Okay, let's call it control. Okay. Inside here, we create another folder. Let's call it sets. Okay, and sets will be where we keep all the credentials that we got from our AWS IoT core. So I'm going to get away from this and try to now upload all the credentials that we had on AWS IoT core into our Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to use SCP over here. So let me just go back over here. This is our Pi remotely. Okay, and I believe it's in desktop, and this is what we created. It's not here for some, so let's just refresh this. Okay, I'm not seeing the folder over here. Let's just make sure that the folder was created. Okay. Okay, we're not seeing the folder over here, so let's just close this. Go back into WinZip. Okay. And now let's go back into our Pi. So I think, I believe the IP address of the Pi, it's 192.168.0.181. Okay, username, put your username of your Raspberry Pi. And login. Okay, let's go to desktop. Perfect. So this is the folder that we just created. So now what we need to do now is upload all the credentials, AWS IoT credentials, into this folder. So let me get that. So I believe this is it. So I'm just going to get all this stuff here. Copy. Okay. Paste it over here. Okay, and this is all our credentials. Now we need to get back into our Raspberry Pi. So let's go back to our Raspberry Pi over here. Okay, and we also need to upload the code as well. So let's get that code. So this is the code that we want. I will share this code within this video. So now let's get this code as well. Okay, let's create a new file over here. Let's call it AWS.py. Okay. Paste our code. Perfect. Okay. So now all we need to do now is run this file over here. So let's get back into our Raspberry Pi. Okay. And then there's our file over here. Okay. You could take a look at all this information over here, but I will share this code within this video. Okay, so let's run this file. Okay, so let's go into a terminal, and let's go here. So cd paste, okay, and then python 3aws.py. Okay, perfect. So now this file is now waiting for the command that will be initiated within the platform. So what I'm going to do now is let's just try to minimize this, close this, and try to get back our platform. This, okay. All right. So now this Python is this Raspberry Pi, I believe, is located somewhere around the house. Okay, so this is not within our wireless network. So I am now going to click this button over here, and if all goes well, we should see a message over here. So let's go ahead. Command send, error code. Let's make sure everything is okay. Look. Information. It's okay. Send commands. It's okay. Alright. So we do have a problem here. Oh, okay, yeah, I can see the problem. That's one thing I forgot to do. Let's go back to the basic information. Yeah, we do need to create a topic for both the host and the remote device. So this one over here, I'm going to call this as IoT/in submit. Okay, IoT/out submit. Okay, so test connection is perfect. Let's get back to send command. Okay, this should work now. Okay, so test connection there. Send command. Let's delete this. Perfect. Okay, there it goes. So you just needed time just to configure itself, but there you go. So I'll click connect again. Okay, and you can see that we actually controlling the Raspberry Pi remotely. So this Pi could be anywhere in the world, and as long as we put a command over here and initiate our Raspberry Pi script, okay, we could control it remotely. Okay, so yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay, so if there's any other questions, just let me know. Okay, and I'll be able to help you further. Thank you.